More mail, more mail. Yeah. I'm also able to actually go after that anyway. So, let's see what we got then. So, obviously the same old letter from Princess Peach, of course. And of course, she will kindly give me 20 extra lives back. So hopefully I could able to actually make the game a little bit more easier for Luigi, as far as I'm most likely aware of. So, hey, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? I am Piglet here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to more Let's Play of Super Luigi Galaxy in the Super Mario Galaxy game for the Nintendo Wii/Nintendo Wii U as a eShop downloadable software. So, yeah, last time we actually did collected some more of those power stars in the forms of the kitchen dome, and especially noticeable for basically for everything else without relatable for this point. And I guess suppose that today for this video is the fact that we're about to be continue on and explore through the bedroom dome, and just like in the forms of how he does it on the Mario's playthrough, I'm going to be going for the exact same order of galaxy, starting with you know, Ghostly Garden Galaxy first, and then also after that we can move on to Freeze Flame Galaxy, and vice versa though, really. So, even though I kinda wish I could able to actually discuss upon some of the changes I would really love to do, but even then though, until like next week or so, then I would able to actually go after something else. So, that's my part of the plan. So yeah, today was actually forms of the 17th of May in 2019. So I must admit though, for this point guys, I really do apologize with the lack of uploading schedules. Well, not so much for the daily basis, but it's just that the actual processing, I feel like on my own time, it's all over the place. Like for instance, for example, my microphone is still glitches up every single time whenever I did some more commentary and stuff like that. And also not to mention, not only does it do like once, but twice of the forms of that particular microphone is keep on screwing me over these days. Like, for instance, I did manage to did done a little bit of commentary on my own time, just for the sake of this video, and, excuse me, and, well, I've, double-checked on the actual results. What happens is, though, is the fact that my audio commentary just sometimes mutes on itself. Well, I didn't even, like, fiddle around with it or anything like that. Or especially noticeable of how the fact that my voice has actually got a little bit more fuzzier, and plus it will be obnoxious every time when that happens. So, yeah, that's why I'm always having a little bit of a bad luck for this point recently, guys, with all this, microphone, issues, as far as I'm most likely aware of. But even then, I'm hoping it'll work just fine as long as I can able to use my USB port number 1. What I did manage to demonstrate with USB port number 2, and especially noticeable with USB port 3, but none of them actually work out because, well, in the end of the day, well, for the time being, I might actually focusing on, well, HDMI, well, not so much the HDMI per se, but it's just that the USB port number 1, which is on the left side of my laptop at the moment, we're able to do for now, because, well, unlike in the other two USB ports where it doesn't seem to register me as much, because either way, well, it does seems to be quite functional, but it's just that for my voice commands doesn't seem to able to go as well as it used to be, which either way, it makes me extremely sad and disappointed. Well, it's not entirely broken or anything, it's just that it just doesn't seem to able to work on with me that much. So, but I digress. So, but enough about this little microphone ranting of all things. So let's discuss upon the good side of things. Is that obviously about the fact that I would love to mention about Super Mario Maker 2 Directs, where they add some new features and all that stuff, which I'll explain until later on, because recently, yesterday, that Castlevania Anniversary Collection just managed to came out recently on the PlayStation 4 and Nintendo Switch and Xbox One and PC Steam version. So, but again, I was able to get those collections until when it gets to the point until when it's almost getting closer to Halloween almost. But even then, we'll find things out for the time being, because even then, yeah, as you can see, we're actually going to be exploring through Ghostly Garden Galaxy once again with this beautiful orchestra music going on right there. Or in this case, orchestrated music. And, also we need to catch that star bunny, because obviously bunnies in the wind, as far as this mission, as far as that applies, well, that's what we need to do here. So, yeah, there's not much else to really talk about that. So even then, let's get into the real deal with the forms of the commentary whenever I do the exact same missions as Luigi, is of course the Super Mario Maker 2 Direct, which even then, as I said before, it did only happen about 2 days ago at this point, which, geez, there's a lot of things they actually did added in for Super Mario Maker 2 as a Direct. Like, for instance, for example, well, they obviously mentioned about the forms of, well, before the video started, is the fact that the actual, pre-rendered, Mario and Luigi cutscene did manage to happen, which I say, it does look really cool. I kinda wish if, I don't know if it's just me, but I really wish if that would be the intro of the game, because even then, although, kind of think about it though, much like the original Mario Maker, that, the announcer, especially with the people out there who are able to actually shout out, Super Mario Maker, type of groups of people, they did say that from before, but this time around though they say Super Mario Maker 2. You know, kind of like the same thing for how it does it on the duology of Donkey Konga games back in the GameCube era, which either way, it does feel like a more likely nostalgia for life noticing this, so yeah, as far as I'm most likely aware of. And then, after that, well, obviously the next thing they actually discuss upon is the fact that, well, they did added some, same stuff as the forms of how it does it on the original no, not New Super Mario Bros. The original Super Mario Maker game, like, for instance, the exact same enemies as we already saw, especially noticeable with the exact same familiar, objects as we already known for throughout the years, and, not to mention about the fact that they did bring back some of the old stuff from Super Mario Maker the original, but it's also they actually did bring us to the forms of new stuff here and there as well. Like, we've already know about the forms of the slopes, well, not only the steep ones, but it's also the gentle slope, or in this case for that matter, is the, well, slopes. So, even then though, I'm very glad they actually did mention some more details of the actual slopes on, you know, Mario Maker 2, but I'm very still glad that's been the case. So, and another thing I just want to talk about with the another object they actually did manage to include, and that was the forms of, well, we already know about the fact that the Angry Sun will make a return, and especially noticeable with the actual seesaw platforms, which I think we've already known about this ever since the February Nintendo Direct, which even though that might be seems the case. And also, what else did they add? Oh yeah, by the forms of Boom Boom, which I think we already saw him briefly in the Super Mario 3D World style. And now they actually have like the actual brief appearance on not only by the forms of Super Mario Bros. 3, and especially noticeable with the forms of new Super Mario Bros. U game styles, but for the first time ever, that Boom is now gonna be finally making it appeared on the Super Mario Bros. Style, and especially noticeable with Super Mario World style, which I'll say, it does look really, really cool. Especially how the fact that we can now actually see the 16-bit version. Well, technically we've already saw the 16-bit version of Boom Boom ever since in Super Mario All-Stars from Super Mario Bros. 3. But apart from that though, the first time ever that we can now actually see the actual sprites of Boom Boom from Super Mario Bros. And Super Mario World styles, so, which I still say, it looks very, very cool looking, but even then, I don't think I can show this off, because obviously I'm most likely discussing upon the actual news and updates and everything like this happens, so even then though, at the same time though, I'm still looking forward to that particular point, and not to mention though, is the fact that that game is going to be about a month to go, well, in this case, almost a month to go, before, you know, Super Mario Maker 2 will come out, which still, I'm really looking forward to that. And I think I've actually played that a little bit more than the forms of how it does it on the original, because I would assuming that much like in the forms of how it does it on Super Smash Bros., and especially with Splatoon series, basically about the fact that whatever the new stuff has been coming along on the different console of all things, well, they most likely get out to mainly focusing on something else. Like, for instance, back in 2014, let's just go back into the actual retrospective quickly, that whatever they did manage to release Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 3DS, which I think we still managed to play this even to this day, because of the 3DS you can able to play on the go. Well, mind you, it wasn't exactly the strongest installment of the series, but even then though, that the Wii U version definitely is the most superior one. And despite the actual challenge achievements, which I think, to me though, at the end of the day, the Wii U challenge achievement system is the weakest part of the game for me, because, well, some of them are pretty easy and then the others, but Jesus Christ, whenever you're trying to complete the whole game of Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U, well, not so much on the characters themselves, because even then though, you can able to actually just retry and then you have to have a rematch against with them at any time. Which, I don't mind this at all, but it's just that the amount of challenges they're able to force you to deal with, like for instance that there are 140 achievements you have to able to deal with on that game, but good lord, they are ridiculously hard as all hell, because I can never seem to able to complete 9.0 intensity difficulty. For the life of me, I can never still do it, because even then, because computer players will always seem to really throw me off at one point or another, and again, if I made a simple mistake and stuff, my difficulty decreases every time I fail. Whereas unlike in Smash Ultimate, during the likes of in the classic mode, well, I'm very glad they can able to actually, well, you might as well able to actually still need to be perfect on, but at least even then, well, you can only just do this in that one time for able to actually go for like highest intensity, which is obviously 9.9 intensity completionist, but also new forms of how it does it on Smash for Wii U, you have to do with that a lot, even for a lot of tasks at hand, like for instance no customizations, and without losing any single stocks, and it's just all over the place, I'm telling you. But I digress. And also back in 2015, they actually did release Splatoon, but until Splatoon 2 came around in 2017, they actually didn't manage to able to dive into their sequel before they actually, well, it's hard to explain, because even then though, I can definitely understand about the fact that they always seem to remember the first game, and then just, you know, move on to the sequel, which actually had some more features and stuff like that. Well, usually kind of speaking of Super Mario Maker 2, there's also another thing I was once able to actually discuss upon, well, back during the likes of the, you know, Super Mario Maker 2 Direct, and that was the forms of, well, we've already explained about the forms of some of these new stuff, including the Super Mario 3D World game style, which, fundamentally, it was actually on the extra game style, which even then, well, as far as I've realized about something, there was actually one slot missing, which it could be something a little bit secret about this, but even then, we'll find things out, expecting there might be some DLC involved, but again, we'll have to find out and see what happens until the future, especially noticeable when it gets to like 2020 or the very end of the year, so, but again, it could be a possibility though, see Fernando, just want to classify that. And of course, another thing is worth mentioning though is the fact that some of these sound effects will most likely return from the first Super Mario Maker game, but it's also in addition with some of these old sound effects that we can able to customize with, we can now actually have ourselves some brand new ones as well, which to me they actually kind of look pretty cool, and well, the only time it makes it a little bit more interesting and sinister looking is actually the ones with black and white, and in the addition with the what can I suppose I can say? Oh yeah, with the most sinister horror movie or something like that. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. So, and another thing I want to explain about with the forms of Super Mario Maker 2 they did manage to add in, and that is of course story mode. Yes, there was actually story mode in Super Mario Maker 2. Kind of reminds me of that exact same thing for how it does it on, well, at least it's kind of like the similar thing for how it does it where in the Super Monkey Ball games, like for instance, for example, in Super Monkey Ball 1, well, despite the fact that it doesn't have any story modes into the mix, but it does have normal mode, which stands for like a single player experience, also multiplayer included. Well, in the forms of Super Monkey Ball 2, they actually introduced the story mode, which I think that's going to be the same applies for recently for that Super Mario Maker 1. Well, it does have a little bit of a story, but it's just that at the end of the day, in a 10 Mario Challenge mode, it's just pretty much like an endless level exploration kind of feeling. Although kind of thinking about it, on the 100 Mario Challenge, it might be like an endless, true endless mode. Like you have to go through like 4 difficulties a piece. Like, you know, for instance, easy, normal, expert, and super expert mode especially. But even then though, and at the same time, you can able to unlock those amiibo costumes, or essentially the other 8-bit renditions of the different video game characters in universe and stuff like that for that nature, which that was the only awesome part. Well, in this case, the really awesome part about the forms of Super Mario Maker the original, because that game was meant to be celebrated for the 30 years of Super Mario Bros. Series, which it makes it a little bit more true for that knowledge, but even then, yeah, that's as far as I can say about that particular new stuff they actually introduced for the forms of, like, for instance, the story mode. And as far as story mode is concerned, basically what happens is the fact that Princess Peach's castle is being completely, like, destroyed and stuff, but it's up to Mario to able to actually fix Princess Peach's castle. So, a little bit different, even though I'm pretty sure that Peach might be still kidnapped once again, which to be expected from any other Mario games at this point. So, and then aside from that though, I believe they're actually forcing you to able to do with, like, most of these, I believe what the game expects me to able to go through for Super Mario Maker 2's story mode is the fact that you have to go through, like, 100 courses in that particular mode. So even then though, expecting, because they actually brings you to the forms of some stage selection, each with its own difficulty rating. Like, depends on how much stars they're actually going to be going for that point. If depends on how hard it is, or especially how easy it was. So, and especially if you manage to complete those kinds of courses like this, then you were able to actually reward your coins. And then I believe the coins were actually something's related to, like, manage to able to keep on building your Princess Peach's castle, basically. So, yeah, that's pretty cool, though. I would love to able to actually do a Let's Play of that game at some point, but even then, though, I need to give that a first test at first on my own time, because it's a shame. I really love to do the original Mario Maker Let's Play, but the problem with that is the fact that, well, I just don't know if I can able to actually just to see of able to actually just to do a Let's Play of Super Mario Maker, the original, even though that it might be a little bit too late for now, because obviously we're not going to be moving on to the sequel, which is Super Mario Maker 2, and then experience the forms of some more features, especially with new features as well. And not to mention though, they actually did manage to add in a lot of stuff on the online features of Super Mario Maker 2 especially, is that, first of all, obviously the actual interface might be exactly similar to the first game, especially with Super Mario Maker for the Nintendo 3DS, let's not forget about that. And, the most important part about this is the fact that with the online play on Super Mario Maker 2, and this is easily is my favorite part, and that is online multiplayer. Yes, we actually got ourselves the online multiplayer at long last on the forms of the Super Mario Maker game, which I think makes it totally obvious because obviously Toadette was already a playable character on the forms of New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe especially, and even especially noticeable how the fact that if you remember from Super Mario 3D World, that it does have 4-player co-op aspect, but this time around there in Super Mario Maker 2, on the Super Mario 3D World game style, well, it's now in a, let's just say in a 2.5D perspective. Well, at least in terms of, like, the character 3D models and stuff like that. And even the actual environments might be in a 2.5 perspective, which to me is interesting because even then, although, kind of thing about it though, is only on online rather than just like local multiplayer per se, but even then I don't mind about it at all. Well, at least there's a local play here and there, but even then though, I believe it does require you to get 2 Nintendo Switches basically, so even then though, there might be something, it's hard to explain because even then I haven't really looked upon specific details about this, but even then though, I'm very happy about the fact that we got ourselves multiplayer for once, to be able to actually trying out some more levels from across the world especially. So, although kind of thing about it though is that much like any forms of Super Mario Party with the Mario Fun, especially noticeable with Splatoon 2, in the online versus matches or something like that, is that to be expected there is a ranking system. It depends on how many victories you've got. Well, basically it will tells you that how much points you actually gathered in. So yeah, that's pretty cool, and not to mention with all these playable characters on the multiplayer aspect, we obviously got Mario, and especially noticeable for Luigi, Blue Toad especially, not Yellow Toad for some reason, although I get the feeling because of how the fact that Yellow Toad is already taking over for Blue Toad's campaign from New Super Mario Bros. U, especially for the actual game cover, so I'm guessing Yellow Toad might actually take a break from platforming department, and then we'll let Blue Toad take over, so for Super Mario Maker 2 department. So it's kind of interesting to say much for that, even because of how the fact that he's already gone through, like, well, Yellow Toad especially, that he did manage to go through a lot of stuff that he's been going through throughout the whole entirety of 2D platforming once in a while, so yeah, it's just nice to be able to let Blue Toad to have his own turn for Super Mario Maker 2 for multiplayer department, so pretty cool. But even then, I get a feeling that there won't be Nabbit on that particular game, of course, because you know how the fact that Nabbit was easily the most broken character in, you know, for New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, basically, if you're able to actually play as him. Well, if you, those of you haven't played the New Super Mario Bros. Game for ever since, well, you know, ever, or, again, it's hard to explain about this, because even then, I was one to classify for such, so... And, I suppose another thing I should probably mention about this is that, yes, they also have a co-op aspect on the multiplayer as well, to be able to actually help each other able to complete the course, basically, so... And another thing actually they added in with Super Mario Maker 2, especially with the online, sources and stuff like that, is that, yes, they actually have, customization options for your Mii costumes, which even then... most other games especially does that as well, like Boom Street / Fortune Street, for instance, and Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Winter Games, and even London 2012 Olympic Games, Sochi 2014 Olympic Winter Games, and even Rio 2016 Olympic Games. They did added in some costumes and what have you. So, and even especially noticeable with Mario Tennis Open, especially noticeable with Mario Golf World Tour, especially as well, which even then. I'm very surprised about that, because even then though, because you can actually manage to wear the actual jet of, you know, the Bullet Bill's flames or something like that, and able to actually replace your legs into Bullet Bill flames, all that stuff. I can't exactly what these back of the Bullet Bills, although I do know you can able to actually, no, forget it. But anyways though, so... And I suppose there's actually a final thing I just want to mention about this, actually, although there's quite a few things worth mentioning, actually. It's the fact that, yes, they did mention about the fact that if you're able to actually, pre-order of Super Mario Maker 2, you would able to get yourselves a free stylus if you manage to able to get there in time, which I might as well do that on, whenever that game comes out, and I should definitely get the actual stylus, because... To me, customizing your own levels with the stylus is actually pretty easy to able to use it, because unlike in buttons and all that stuff, I found it to be, well, not even worth it for me, because even then though, I did manage to try and test it out on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, but I just have a lot of struggle with to able to build up with my new stage, of course. So that's why I definitely need to get myself this Super Mario Maker 2 stylus for not only to customize my own level on Super Mario Maker 2, but also the custom stage builder for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate to make it a little bit easier to draw on some parts. Well, the only time I found is a little bit of a struggle to me, and that was the forms of like rotating certain objects or anything like that. But apart from that though, I did have a pretty, I'm actually able to actually have ourselves a little bit of a real fun ride between these two titles, especially with, you know, customizations and stuff, like, you know, custom stages, and you name it. Of course, the only thing you need to point things out is the fact that if you play online experience on Super Mario Maker 2, well, you still need to able to reduce yourselves, you know, the Nintendo Switch online membership stuff. So even then though, well, the good thing about Super Mario Maker 2 though, especially if you purchase the limited edition of the game, well, at least you can able to actually access to the 12-month membership card, well, for the Nintendo Switch online membership stuff. So, at least you got that, but even then though, that you have to be very cautious not to show anyone about the actual redeeming code. Well, at least I can able to actually just, well, you know. But I digress. So, anyways though, before we discuss more details about this, we have ourselves you transform into Fire Luigi, shake the Wiimotes to shoot fireballs. Yeah, I forgot to mention about that particular... Oh god, that was really close. Almost fell off and died then, but anyway. So, yeah, I guess there's not much else I can say about the forms of some more information about Super Mario Maker 2, actually. But even then, aside from that, though, they did manage to have ourselves another new look of, you know, the Angry Sun between, well, not only for Super Mario Bros. 3 makes a return for that Angry Sun, but also for the first time ever, that, the Angry Sun gets a little bit of more of a new look on, you know, both on Super Mario World, Super Mario Bros., and especially with new Super Mario Bros. U. And from what I've seen the new Super Mario Bros. U version of that particular Angry Sun, it looks a little bit different, I feel like, because, well, unlike on Super Mario Bros. 1 style of the Angry Sun, and especially noticeable with Super Mario Bros. 3 as well, that most of the time it gets like some flames onto that specific angle or something like that. And then in Super Mario World especially as well, it does that as well. New Super Mario Bros. U variation is actually a little bit of a different story, because, well, I'm pretty sure it might actually contain some of the different patterns or something like that, maybe. But either way though, let's just go ahead and do some backflips, and oh yes, double of the shortcuts. And I'm almost gonna be dying right there because those stupid ice bats just trying to almost go after me for some reason. But even then, no, that's just besides the point right there. So hopefully I might as well be very careful with those little ice bats basically, because I really don't want to able to go through the entire thing itself all over again, because if I do, then I'll be really ticked off from that. So but I digress. Let's go ahead and just, you know, keep on melting the ice, no, the snowman especially, because either way, that way we can able to continue on through the majority of the level. And of course, you probably already know, I'm going after the secret power star in this this level, which is of course conquering the summons. So, and as far as the other information about Super Mario Maker 2 Direct for this point, well, there's also one last thing I could mention, specifically on the North American version of that Direct, because similar to the forms of how it does it on well, for Splatoon 2 and especially noticeable for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, one thing before I'm able to mention about this, I have no idea why Splatoon 2 tournament might be still a thing. I think it's most likely be because most of the updates has been already came out at this point. So even then though, expecting about the fact that Splatoon 2 was almost about 2 years old at this point, especially when it gets to July, then I'm not exactly sure how do I explain that actually, because well, I think they actually do enjoy Splatoon 2 or something like that, maybe. And then also they actually trying to do Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Tournament, which is 3-on-3 type of tournament or something like that, which could be potential. Which honestly, out of all these stuff they actually include on the E3 stuff for most of these Nintendo stuff, I don't seem to able to watch those tournaments as much. I have no idea what that is, because well, I already know about the games themselves. But as far as tournaments goes, I never normally watch them, to be honest with you, because well, I do know what they are going for this point here, especially with like winning some certain stuff. But for me, it's not my cup of tea, because unlike in Nintendo Treehouse Live demonstrations, especially with the Nintendo Directs, these are the ones I'm interested in, because well, just to see if what some of these new announcements they actually did attempt to make, especially noticeable with the forms of how the fact that some more discussions upon like several new gameplay elements and stuff like that for this throughout, and most of the majority of the time might be exactly all it represents from. So that's as far as I'm most likely concerned with. So yeah, I do apologize with the awkward quietness going on right there. So yeah, anyways, speaking of Super Mario Maker 2, for those of you who lived in North America, they're actually going to be participating for Super Mario Maker 2 at a virtual... I really do apologize for that horrible pronunciation for that specific word. There's going to be a special event in Super Mario Maker 2. It's going to be happening until this year's E3, but until roughly until the 8th of June, I per se. Which even then, though, it might be not that bad for that specific day, because much like the tournament from both Splatoon 2 and especially noticeable with Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, well, they're actually going to be focusing on 3 things all at one. Even though, unlike any forms of how it does it on Nintendo World Championship 2015, where it did manage to include Super Mario Maker on there just because of the celebration for the Super Mario Bros. Series, basically. But it's not the same applies for this year this time around, though, because obviously that most of the majority of the software for 2019 will be most likely have to be the main focus of that specifically for this year's E3. So yeah, pretty excited for that about this still. So, and that's as far as I can say when it comes to, like, you know, the Super Mario Maker 2 Nintendo Directs. And let me tell you, I had a lot of fun watching it, because even then, especially because of how the fact that, you know, that game is almost able to release at some point next month, which it might still will be, because even then, though, that is what it said still, the 28th of June, which it still says on you know, on our country's release date, and especially noticeable with the USA, or in this case, America's release date as well. And I'm pretty sure that might be the same applies for the Japanese version as well, which, speaking of such, I haven't really looked upon the Japanese version of that particular direct yet, but even then, I could probably mention about that, but I'm pretty sure I'm pretty much fine as it is, especially with all this discussion at this point. So even then, though, I'm very happy about, like, some of these new features they added in, especially noticeable with some old stuff they actually bring back from the original game, and even then, though, I'm very happy about this as it is. So, and as far as I can say about the forms of other stuff is worth mentioning, though, well, I'm afraid to say, guys, there's not much else to say, because, well, I'm just really excited about the forms of, like, several news I would love to able to discuss upon, especially that, well, you know, I'm just really looking forward to trying that out, and I'm assuming they will gonna mention about Super Mario Maker 2 gameplay footages and stuff like that until the Nintendo Treehouse Live, basically, so even though that would make it happen, especially that, just like the forms of how it does it on last year in 2018, they did manage to able to actually release Mario Tennis Aces until the 21st of June, if I could assuming for that release date, and they did manage to show off some gameplay footage on that game. Specifically, they actually mentioned about some more new features about Mario Tennis Aces, especially noticeable with some DLC characters during the likes of in the tournament updates, like for instance Koopa Troopa and Blooper, and yeah, that's as far as I can say. So even then, I think that might be, you know. Anyway, so let's go ahead and explore for this level right here, as you can see on screen. And this time around, though, we're hopefully going to perform a nice little shortcut as Luigi, which, in this case, let's see how this will go. Hey, there we go. So yes, Luigi might give himself a really easier time when it comes to, like, performing shortcuts and stuff, but not so much for Mario, don't feel like, because, well, most of the time, though, Mario's jumps wasn't nearly as high as Luigi's ones were, so, oh, how rude. You're trying to knock me back for, like, nothing else, you stupid urchins. Anyways, though, let's go ahead and just light up these little, lanterns here. So, yeah, as far as memories goes with all this, other news to point things out, well, aside from I've already mentioned about, you know, Castlevania Anniversary Collection, which, usually, released, just recently, and especially noticeable with, well, Super Mario Maker 2 Direct, which, again, I'm very happy about with some other information, so I just point things out. So, strangely enough, though, one final thing about the forms of Super Mario Maker 2 Direct is that they haven't mentioned about the forms of the actual amiibo functionality of this game, because, well, in the original Mario Maker, they did manage to add in amiibo functionality because of the actual purpose of unlocking more of those costumes from specifically for those amiibos, and I really don't know if they're actually going to bring back the amiibo costumes for Super Mario Maker 2, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens until when it comes to getting close to its release. Especially, I get a strong feeling that it might actually just still do for the 8-bit renditions of mostly other amiibo characters, especially, or something like that. But again, it's incredibly, well, we have to wait and see what happens there, because, well, we haven't got to E3 yet, so until next month anyway, though. So, but again, that's as far as I can most likely can say about this Direct. I still enjoyed it, and I'm sure many of you already know, many people out there who are actually going to be enjoying, going to be able to actually just, you know, get some full experience of Super Mario Maker 2, myself included, because even then, I'm just so damn looking forward to it. Even though I do need to get the stylus, though, to be able to actually get it as a pre-order bonus, especially, because, well, you know, making levels with the stylus is, to me, a little bit of an easier option to me, so. But I digress, so that's as far as I can say about the news and discussions, and especially noticeable if such an update for you guys, especially if you. Let me know in the comments below if, what you think about the Super Mario Maker 2 Direct. Did you enjoy it? And especially noticeable if they actually add in some more features and stuff like this nature. But, or you can able to actually, well, you can just simply enjoy it and have fun. So especially because, well, I definitely noticed about the fact that, well, you know. So anyways, though, so let's move on to the next, Cosmic Luigi race. And this one might be a little bit tricky just because, you know, that Cosmic Luigi is now going to be able to keep on doing a lot of, like, long jumps, and especially noticeable with a lot of skating all around, and, basically you get the idea for that point, even though I'm pretty sure we're actually on the halfway point already of the Cosmic Luigi race, because after we're able to go through the engine room, specifically on the Gold Leaf Galaxy, and especially noticeable with this last Cosmic Luigi race, which appears to be on Sea Slide Galaxy, then we'll be done with the Cosmic Luigi races for a very, very long time. Especially that the fact that whenever we get to Sea Slide Galaxy, that would be the final time seeing the Cosmic Race missions, because until Super Mario Galaxy 2 came around, which, you know, in 2010 anyway, then it'll be completely different whenever we get to that Let's Play. So, but all that guys, so I'm afraid to say, guys, is that we got the endings off at this point here. So join me next time when Let's Play Super Luigi Galaxy on the Super Mario Galaxy game. Is that we're about to be continuing exploring through the bedroom dome and just collect some more power stars in the process. So see you guys next time. Later, fellas.